It's Friday. It's the 24th day of April, 2026. We're going to get into the emails from you guys, your reactions to WrestleMania 42, night 1, night 2. And as we speak, now this isn't in any of the emails, but I'll be putting out much more thought on this on my week in review on Sunday, but also in a forthcoming video I'm going to be posting to patrons only. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to get that video and everything else ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. But there's a lot of releases going on over at WWE's, X account and everywhere else. They're releasing a lot of people, and we're going to get into it. 3/5 as it stands right now of the Wyatt Six are gone, including Bo Dallas. Who else is it? Zoe Stark is one of them, and others. So we will get into all of that in detail on Sunday. And again, also, I'll give much more thought on this on a video I'm going to be releasing tonight. So stay tuned for that. On the Patreon side of things, I do want to welcome Dustin S., Ryan Demise. Thank you for your upgrade. And also for Jay Drew joining as a member there over at Patreon. And Donkey Rope. I feel like that's some kind of sexual innuendo or something. But Donkey Rope, thank you for joining us, as well as Martin Miller joining us. And Charlie Furman. Yes, I remember. Of course, I remember you. Charlie Furman giving us a little bit of support over at Patreon. You can do that as well and join them ad-free. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. So let's get to your emails and see what you guys thought of WrestleMania and what the heck is going on. And again, the releases are just happening in real time now, so there aren't going to be any emails regarding that, but feel free to send them to me. I will get to them as soon as I can, including on the Week in Review. So let's get to the emails, and we have Mr. DJ Kuzmo, but he did submit the Joe Hendry report. He's also going to be retiring from the show next week. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a standalone episode of his Joe Hendry report. He is he's exploring other interests in his life, or whatever he may be doing. I wish him the best, and I appreciate all of his contributions over the years. One of the most loyal listeners, a great guy, genuinely. And I hope that whatever you're doing, DJ, whatever it may be, maybe you're moving on to the PW Torch or Pro Wrestling Net or one of the big guys, or what's the big one? I can't think of it. Busted Open, wherever it may be, or whatever you're doing, DJ. I wish you nothing but the best, and we will get to your Joe Hendry report, your last one before your last one, and we'll do that at the end of the show. But next week, as I said, his final Joe Hendry report will be a standalone episode next week. Okay, so let's talk to Darius. He says, "Hey Matt, I just want to say I'm so glad that's a show that actually tells the truth about WWE. I'm so happy I found this podcast just after WrestleMania 40. Excuse me. And I want to thank the whole team for putting your time and effort into these shows every week. But I have to say, night one weather, effing disaster. I mean, if you're going to have Randy, RKO, Pat, after 2 weeks of them being together, why would you even put them together? What a bunch of BS. They could have made this way more interesting. I'm also kind of pissed that Roman has the championship again, because I don't want a part-time wrestler having the most important job in the industry. Raw After Mania was really not what a Raw After Mania should feel like. At least I didn't pay for ESPN Plus or Premium. I think it's unlimited, whatever it's called, because I live in Germany. We're just not getting our money's worth anymore. Have a good one." Darius, thank you for joining us, and you've been a listener for 2 years. Thank you. So Roman Reigns did say that he's going to be a full-time wrestler this summer. So he's going to solve that. He said that was announced on the post show of WrestleMania 42 night 2. So that is confirmed by Roman, which tells you Roman's not dropping the championship likely until SummerSlam or beyond at minimum. So Roman will be here on a full-time basis, maybe starting now and moving forward as he's champion. So the other part of your email regarding Pat McAfee, the word is on the street that Pat McAfee opted out, and Jelly Roll, both of them, opted out of being a part of Backlash that we all knew was going to be a tag team match with Randy Orton and Pat McAfee versus Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll. That has been scrapped, reportedly due to Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll both opting out, knowing that what they were doing sucked. And I have to say, I mean, we all know it did. We all know it was horrible. Much more so on the Pat McAfee side than Jelly Roll, but Jelly Roll even in himself had no business being there. At the same time, they agreed to do this in the first place. I bet you Pat, I mean, he's had some mental health issues in the past, or he took time away because he was burned out and his brain, whatever. He had to kind of cope with whatever was going on in his head and had too much going on. I bet you this really affected him. And I do feel for Pat McAfee. Look, this is a storyline, or was a storyline. And you're not going to turn down WrestleMania. So I've kind of given Pat shit for this. Even online, I was a bit harsh saying that, well, why would you do it in the first place then if it's such a shitty story? But it's WrestleMania. And it's also a big payday. There's nobody in the sound of my voice that would have not done it given the paycheck that was probably given to both of these men and the fact that you get to be a part of the biggest of show of the entire year with millions of eyeballs on you. So yeah, that part of it was not fun, listening to everyone in unison talk about how shitty this story was. That part isn't fun. And it probably did really get to him, and he didn't want to deal with it for the next 4 weeks or whatever until Backlash, 3 weeks till Backlash. So, I mean, I do feel for Pat on an actual human level. I do feel for him. I mean, this is straight from Area Manuel. This is from the executives at TKO. I blame them mostly. Yes, nobody forced Pat, but it's a payday and a lot of eyeballs on you. Of course, why not? It's one of the worst storylines going into WrestleMania of all time. But you're not going to not do it. I don't blame Jelly Roll either. I don't blame Pat for getting involved in WrestleMania 42. You do it at WrestleMania and then you move on. And they did. They took their lumps, specifically Pat McAfee. He got his ass kicked at WrestleMania, which we all wanted to see, and he did, and he went away. And that was true go-away heat. And there is a difference. Despite the fact that JBL, who is trying to make the case that Pat McAfee is doing an excellent job being a heel, and this is what a real heel looks like, and there's no such thing as a heel that everyone knows is a heel, and that if you're in on it, they're not really a heel, and that go-away heat is true heel heat. Like, no. This clearly, I mean, the person even playing the role, Pat McAfee, admitted it was one of the shittiest stories going into WrestleMania. And again, it wasn't about, when Pat got his ass kicked at WrestleMania, it was a little bit about wanting to see Pat get his ass kicked as a character, but it was 90%. We just wanted him to go away. Just let Randy and Cody wrestle. Excuse me. And we did get to see that real early on. And so that's the difference. I mean, JBL is sometimes he's dead wrong on a lot of stuff. And I have to say, I was thinking about this earlier today. I was out in my garage right before I started recording this. And I was thinking about JBL and his comments about the heel heat stuff. And I actually had an in-person interaction with JBL when he was champion on SmackDown as the undisputed champion. He came off beating Eddie Guerrero, and he had that long hot streak, the 10-month streak of being the undisputed champion over on SmackDown. If you remember that, if you're old enough to remember that, that's now 22 years ago. And actually, JBL did an excellent job. One of the great success stories of being able to totally flip your character upside down and make it work. He did a great job. But I remember an interaction I had, and 22 years ago, that puts me, oh God, I was 19 years old in 2004. So do the math. Well, you don't have to, I just did it. But my point is, I remember him doing a signing here. It wasn't a SmackDown show. It was just a regular signing he did at our arena. It was at the arena that the shows are held. And he did a signing, and he was champion at the time. So he was bringing his championship belt everywhere he went, or at least to signings, the real one. And I finally get up to the line, and I don't know, he might have signed our t-shirts or something. I forget exactly what he signed for us. And he took a picture with us. And I remember he's sitting down at the desk. I lean in on the table. I put my elbow on the table to lean in to smile for the champion, or for the picture. and a couple of my buddies are with me too, and they lean in. And JBL's sitting there putting on the fakest smile you've ever seen, which, hey, you're on your day off, you're dead dog tired. I'll get it out. And you got to deal with a bunch of, teenage kids who just want to have you sign stuff so they can sell it on eBay. I get it. Yeah, he's dead dog tired. Fine. But not only that, I leaned in. And when I leaned in, I unbeknowingly to myself or him at the time, leaned in and I actually pushed the real championship belt, not a replica, the real one. I pushed it till when I was leaning in and it knocked over on the table. And I remember him looking at me and I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm 19 years old. I think I'm invincible. But when he looked at me, he gave me like the dirtiest look. And I get why, hey, it's disrespectful. You're not paying attention to what you're doing. And, this is something I've tried to obtain my whole life. I get it. So I just remember that interaction. I knocked the championship right over. I didn't knock to the floor or anything dramatic, and it wasn't a big scene, but I just remember that subtle moment with JBL. So even in person, I have not had a positive reaction with him. He even blocked me on X because I guess that's just what he does. And anyway, I have nothing personal against him, but he does seem at times like a bit of a drama queen with people that don't agree with him. That's just an observation that I have. So anyway, all right, enough of my personal stuff. Let's talk a little bit more to you guys. And Darius, there was an unmitigated disaster. Even the match itself with Randy and Cody was very confusing because I didn't know coming out of it, what the hell is going on, who I'm supposed to cheer for. Because Randy did heel stuff, Cody did a bunch of heel stuff, but they both did babyface stuff. The RKO to Pat, but then the punt to Cody, and like what the fuck is going on? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel coming out of that. I have no idea. So, all right. Thank you, Darius. So let's go to Tristan. And Tristan says, or TJ from Texas says, I don't buy this Brock Lesnar retirement BS for 1 second. There has to be some other angle. Let's not forget, and that's a great point. This is what I was going to bring up today, Tristan. SummerSlam is in Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, is it Minneapolis too? Brock won a college national championship for the University of Minnesota as an amateur wrestler. And when he left for WWE to go to the NFL, he was on the Minnesota Vikings practice squad. I truly believe WWE knew exactly 1 year after his signing was the second biggest show of the year in Brock's adopted home state in Viking Stadium. Even if isn't a match, although we need that Gunther match, please, Brock will be a part of the show. Hot take. Outside of Brock having a match with Gunther, the next big thing would be to give him a moment in the ring with the crowd as a retirement speech. Then have The Undertaker come out and surprise him for real, saying he will headline next year's Hall of Fame like he did with AJ Styles. Keep up the great work, your podcast. Well, thank you so much, TJ. Yes, the evidence is growing that Brock's retirement is not official. We could easily see a SummerSlam match. And you know what? Do I dare say we could even go to WrestleMania 43? I don't know if I'd stretch it that far, but do you know how much money the Saudi government is willing to shell out? It brought Shawn Michaels out of retirement. We're all supposed to pretend that didn't happen, but it did. It brought Shawn Michaels out of retirement. That's a hell of a statement. And again, for one of the worst tag team matches ever, that is just comical at this point. And I'm not trying to tear down those four men. It was just, and even they have made fun of their own tag team match. It was that bad. With Kane's mask falling off, Triple H tore his pec. Shawn Michaels got bloodied, and he looked horrible, bald. Undertaker had a bad night. It was just terrific. The timing was all off. It looked like just a disaster. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is that if Saudi can put enough zeros at the end of a check, they'll do it to get Brock Lesnar. Unless Brock is just like, I don't care how much money you give me, I'm not doing it. I just say, like, I would not put it past Brock to go to WrestleMania 43. Because Saudi, out of any place ever that you go to, has the deepest pockets. So that could sway Brock Lesnar if he's motivated by grabbing as much cash as he possibly can before he does actually hang up the boots. But I do believe SummerSlam is a very good, very real possibility for Brock, and it's got to be Gunther. I don't need them screwing around. It has to be Gunther. It matches exactly what Gunther does. That's what his legend or his own career is being built on, is retiring wrestlers, quote unquote. He's the career killer. That's his thing. Brock is one of the biggest names ever. Brock is easily slotted into that in Minnesota. It's only a few months away. Brock is still in shape. He's not injured, to the best of my knowledge. And also, don't forget, Paul Heyman owes Gunther a favor. It all fits in, perfectly. It all fits in perfect. So I would say there's a very good chance that we're not done with Brock, and we could get one more. On top of, why wouldn't they want to monetize Brock Lesnar's retirement? Of course you would. Promote the hell out of it. That's what a good business does. And TKO is, as we know, not ashamed to be talking about how much money they made and how much they are getting out of fans' pockets. They're not ashamed. Okay. Thank you, TJ from Texas. All right. Let's go to Jeff, who says, been listening for a year or so. I didn't watch any commercials during WrestleMania with my VPN. I was watching from Denmark, but from my couch in Michigan. I just pay for Netflix and Surfshark. Oh, yeah. Can we get rid of the MFT makeup? They look like Samoan juggalos. That's good. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, the Surfshark thing. Now, I've had I used to have ExpressVPN, which is one of the highest rated, just like Surfshark. They were actually a sponsor of the show a number of months ago. But the idea, though, of having a VPN, now it's not, I have a moral issue with it. It is what it is. I care less. Like, that's not my business. But I've had issues where it's really slow. Like the VPN, if you attach a VPN, it's just another channel it has to go through. It's like another kind of pass through it has to have to connect to the internet because it's scrambling your location. I mean, that's what it does. So that's why I don't have it, but that's also a good idea. And per Stephanie McMahon, just get a VPN. And Jeff, you are living proof. The MFT makeup, though, I would agree. It doesn't, to me, it's just, they did it because the MFTs have nothing else going for it. They're just connected to Solo loosely in terms of like being a offshoot of the bloodline. But the makeup is the only thing they have to keep themselves interesting or memorable. I mean, they got to do what they got to do because they're not getting mic time, that's for sure. When's the last time you heard any of them speak beyond Solo? Anybody? You know what they look like? Oh, what is Insane Clown Posse? That's who they look like to me. Those of you who are old enough to know that group, take a listen to them. I hate their music, and some of you may like it. I never liked them or Korn or any of those heavy metal groups. I didn't like the screaming. I always thought it was just not my thing. And here's a little secret that I'm sure some of you who don't like me will try to use against me, which is actually not going to work. But here's some fuel. During high school and even into college, even now, I was more of like, I did like Creed, and I like some of the more soft rock, very, very few heavy metal songs, unless it had to do with wrestling. And then of course that was, all bets are off. But honestly, I would secretly listen to like the Backstreet Boys, the Spice Girls, that kind of thing. I really would. I mean, and I still do. Now I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm 41 years old. I don't care. I actually went to a Backstreet Boys concert. When was it? 2017 in Boston. They were in Fenway, and they were headlining with Nelly and Florida Georgia Line. And some of you are, I mean, again, it's everyone's taste in music is different. You may hate all three of those bands and performers. I get it. It's all subjective. But being a millennial, we grew up during the boy band era, and I had to pretend because in high school, it's not cool, or you'll get a ton of shit from your friends if they ever catch you listening to the Backstreet Boys. And back then we had to have Walkmans, And you had to find one that had 60-second skip protection, which is, $80. Again, I'm dating myself, but you had to really hide it. So I would always have a Creed CD in there, but occasionally if I knew I was going to be by myself some of the day and I could, fuck yeah. Especially when I got home. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and sing along and do the dance moves to TRL. Okay. And some of you who, by the way, who are overseas or whatever, you're just like, what the fuck is he talking about? Maybe it's a United States thing because TRL was based in New York City with Carson Daly. And it was this big countdown music video countdown when actually music videos meant something and were a big deal when they got released. It was always a fight between like Britney Spears, NSYNC, and Backstreet Boys at the top, along with Eminem. Occasionally you get some Eminem, which I do like a lot of his stuff too. Not all of it. But again, there's some weaponization for you. Oh, this motherfucker likes, you little Backstreet Boy lover. Oh, okay. Are we 12? Yeah, apparently you are. If anybody's going to try to use that against me, it's not going to work. I don't care. I'm not trying to, get in with the jocks anymore. I don't need a girlfriend. I'm not 15 trying to find a girl to go to the dance with, which by the way, never worked. I got some stories, man. I just, now I'm getting on like a high school trip. I don't know how I got here, Jeff. I apologize. I think I answered your email. And I was thinking about this today too, while I'm on it, because we have maybe one more email here and then a voicemail or so. I was thinking about my prom, my junior prom. And I don't know what anybody's memories are of your junior prom, senior ball, or as some people only had a senior prom and there was no junior anything. Everybody's different. Everybody's school district kind of did it differently. We had a junior prom and a senior ball. I very much enjoyed the senior ball much more than my junior prom. And remember, as a junior, you're like 17, senior, you're 18. So you're really starting to, discover the other sex and pay much more attention to them. But I just remember my date for the junior prom. I had a crush on her all high school, and I actually, and she knows it, so it's not a secret. It's, obviously, I asked her to prom and she said yes, but we didn't even talk. We weren't friends up until that point. And how I asked her is the most 2002 thing ever. She was on AIM. And those of you that don't know what AIM is, I apologize for those younger listeners who have no idea what I'm even talking about, because you guys grew up in a smartphone, internet connected all the time era. But those of you that are anywhere between like 30 and older probably understand what I'm talking about. AIM. It was the AOL Instant Messenger program. It was huge for about 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Huge. It was a instant messaging system that was like one of the best to ever do it. And it was kind of revolutionary. Anyway, I messaged her on that asking her to prom. I asked somebody to prom through the AOL Instant Messenger app. And she said yes. And I was like, holy shit. And then all of a sudden, I was I was like really nervous and all this. It ended up being fine. She ended up leaving in the middle. Well, not leaving the prom, but like we didn't really hang out during prom. We danced, I think, at the end of the night, which whatever. The dinner was really uncomfortable. I remember because I didn't really talk to her friends. They weren't in my circle. It was weird. Now it's just so funny. Just now it'd be like, if I saw it, it's just so much different as you get older. You just don't care. You just stop giving a fuck as you get older, about social situations and caring about like this and that. Like, I just don't care anymore. It's just so funny, the concerns you have as a 17-year-old. But anyway, that's my prom story that I have no idea how Jeff triggered me to. I'm sorry, Jeff. This is nothing to do with your email, but I think I did respond to it. I've got so much more that I could share, but I won't. Okay, boy, oh boy, what in the hell am I doing tonight? Okay, Curtis. Hey, Matt, here are my WrestleMania highlights. My favorite match was easily Punk and Reigns. My favorite moment was Brock retiring because that generally surprised me that this happened this early. Small thing I noticed was the Night 2 graphics reminded me a lot of the WrestleMania 19 graphics, which happened to be Brock's first Mania, and now WrestleMania 42, it was his last. I kind of found it interesting. I didn't even notice that. You very well may be right. I didn't make that comparison, but I also loved, and you may agree, Curtis, the song choice they had for Brock's quote unquote kind of rewind video they had the next night on Raw. It was really a WrestleMania 17 throwback. I mean, I loved it. I really enjoyed the fun Cena segment with Danhausen, Miz, and Wilson. I would agree. It was as good as that segment could have really been. I love the Page return because I didn't get it spoiled, and it surprised the hell out of me. The ladder match was great, but I was really hoping for Rusev to win to bump him up further in the mid card. They had that missed opportunity for a double turn with Cody and Randy. I generally thought, or genuinely, I don't know, thought we were getting one. Me too. I talked about this a little earlier. If you come out of a match not knowing how to feel at WrestleMania, it didn't do its job. WrestleMania is not the time for ambiguity. It's not the time for kind of a, well, we'll see where things go. And no, this is when you pay things off or do big things. Definitively. There shouldn't be shades of gray here. And given the fact that Randy and Cody and the way that match was produced left most fans feeling, what? I don't know. Do I cheer? Do I boo? I don't know. That's not good. That's not to say both men didn't put a bunch of effort in. No, it just was a very weirdly booked match. Everything else for WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 was okay. I was not a fan of the Fatu and McIntyre match compared to the last unsanctioned match, which was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I found it cheap. I don't know. I guess I just expected more, but that's just me. Overall, I give WrestleMania 42 a 6.5 out of 10, better than last year's. Yeah, it was. And Vent, a heads up. I must add, I have absolutely had enough bullshit about this stupid effing Wheatley vodka. God, we see it everywhere and it's so tiring. Ads in general. Everywhere the camera points, there's a fucking ad, but I know lots of us agree. Cheers. It is absurd. I won't buy Wheatley's vodka, and I actually like vodka. You know, I'm not a drinker, but if I do drink liquor, which is very rarely, I either like spiced rum like a Captain Morgan and Coke, or I'll do a vodka, a high quality vodka, not like Smirnoff, which is like the vodka I used to drink when I was 18 because that's all we could get. I'm talking, top shelf, and I don't care how good Wheatley's is. I won't purchase them out of spite. See, it can have the opposite intended impact on your customer base, your targeted customer base, if you just overload them with your ad, because there reaches a point where they will not purchase it out of spite because it's like, fuck you. I will not buy it now because I can't stand looking at your ads anymore. And they've reached that point, at least with the wrestling audience. I don't know how they are with other avenues of advertisement online or I don't know, whatever. Other social media advertising. I'd love to see their budget. I'd love to see Wheatley's vodka and how much they spent on WrestleMania, just WrestleMania itself, because they're actually more than just WrestleMania. I mean, they've been a sponsor of WWE for quite a while. I would love to know the dollar figure that they shelled out to the greedy TKO for the WrestleMania weekend and the ad blocks they had, and the I think there was even advertisements around the LED board for Wheatley's vodka. It might have been in the ring at one point. I know Cody Rhodes has done specific ad reads for them. They must spend a fortune. And they're trying to reach clearly our demo, which is males 18 to 40, which is still the key demo for wrestling. Well, guess what? I ain't purchasing it. And I was thinking about trying it. Now I'm not going to, because you pummeled me to death with your ads. So fuck you. That's exactly right. I'm on fire tonight. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing. I promise you I am sober right now. I really am. I promise. All right, Eddie. Eddie says, here are my thoughts on Sunday's WrestleMania. Obafemi and Brock. Pre-match booking, 9.5 out of 10. The fans were insane. It was too quick. I would agree. I would have liked to see them chop or something. Brock retiring without having to face Gunther. Yeah. Well, we still may get it. 10.5 out of 10 in 340. Wow, you really loved it. I was much lower on it because we could have gotten more out of them. I really wanted more out of Brock and Oba. I wanted at least 10 minutes. We barely got half that. These two are more than capable of it. I'm not asking them for a chain wrestling classic, but I would have loved a little bit more back and forth, a little bit more of a diverse move set. We didn't get it. I'm not going to kill them for it. So, all right, the ladder match, you gave the pre-match booking an 8 out of 10. And the way you scored it was a +1 for ladder match, minus half a point for Penta's Mortal Kombat mask. It was a slow start, so you took a point off there. Great Ray and Rusev spot, +1. +1 for McDonough's spots, I would agree. Half of a point off for both Ray not winning and Penta. Oh, you added a point, half a point for Penta's Mexican Destroyer from Anywhere. Yeah, he is just crazy. So 9.5 out of 10 in 15 minutes. All right, Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. Pre-match, you gave it 8 out of 10. You took away points for Little Yachty, the long train. Trick looked gassed. And let's see, Little Yachty again. Trick doesn't need him. The nice Trick shot, and it was too short. You gave it pluses for Trick sells well, and that's it. 5 out of 10. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a little bit better than that. I don't know what my official rating was. I forget, but I think I had at least a point ahead above that. Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, you gave that pre-match a 9 out of 10 and took away points for a stupid ring entrance, Doms, and it was too short, as well as why does it take so long to set up a table? You liked that Finn was pretty cool minus the ribbons and his coup de grace through the table. I can't disagree with that. Yeah. I don't know if I'm about an 8 out of 10. I would say it was about a 7. I think this should have been at one point on for the Intercontinental title, but at least we finally got the match. Okay. 2 more matches here. We're not going to go through every match, but Jade and Rhea, you gave the pre-match an 8.5 out of 10, and you liked Rhea selling so well. She does. Finally, no belt on Jade. Maybe she can be a Nitro girl. Yeah, that's possible. She would have been a really good Nitro girl. But you didn't like Jade, how she couldn't sell water in a desert, and her agility is not good. And if Rhea doesn't move into position, Jade can't do shit. And let's see, she can't even sell a headbutt. Well, look, Jade is not Rhea Ripley. But I think still, this was Jade's best match to date. It was easily her best match to date, I thought. Yes, she's in the ring with one of the best. That does not hurt at all. But you can't take away, well, I guess you did. But I think if you look at this from a body of work perspective, name another match Jade has had that's this good. It just doesn't exist. So to me, I thought this was a really good showing for Jade. Was it match of the night? Hell no. But I thought this was the best match she's ever had in the WWE. And there's no better place to have that than at WrestleMania. So I actually didn't have much of an issue with this match. But, all right, let's get to the final match here. CM Punk and Roman Reigns pre-match. You thought it was a 10 out of 10. And all you said was brilliant match. You also gave it a 10 out of 10. I would agree. I mean, it was just awesome. Final grade for WrestleMania, 8.25 out of 10. 81 minutes and 13 seconds out of 210 minutes. 38% of the time wrestling. 2 days, so significantly better than day one. Oh God, yeah. Day 2 was way better. Definitely. No doubt about it. All right. Eddie, yeah, I know you look, you have all the other ones. How about this? Out of respect, Eddie, because I don't want to go too long here, but I'll give the audience your scores without the details for the rest of the matches. Fair? Okay. So the tag team match with LA Knight, Jey Uso, and Jimmy taking on Theory, Logan Paul, and I Show Speed. You gave the pre-match an 8 out of 10, But in reality, the execution you thought was a 4.5 out of 10. Fatu beating Drew, you thought the pre-booking, the build, was 8.5 out of 10. The execution was 5.5 out of 10. The women's tag team title match, the build you gave a 6 out of 10, and the execution was almost in line with that, 5 out of 10. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee for the IC title, you thought the build was 7 out of 10, and the execution was 4 out of 10. Gunther beating Rollins, the build was 9 out of 10. The execution, just about the same, 9.25 out of 10. Liv Morgan taking on Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title. The build, 8.5 out of 10. The execution, 7 out of 10. And then finally, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. You actually liked the build. Wow, 10 out of 10. But the execution you said was 7 out of 10. Okay, great analysis, Eddie. I appreciate all the effort. That was a lot of work and detail. I really, man, oh man, good for you. That was good. You love it. I mean, you love it or you wouldn't be putting this much work into it. I appreciate that. Okay, it is time. Do we have any voicemails? We do not this week, other than, of course, Mr. DJ Kuzmo. And he will be, again, closing the show here. And next week, as I said, he will also have a standalone episode, kind of a tribute, his own tribute show hosted by himself for next week for Mr. DJ Kuzmo. So I'm going to pause there. I'll be back on Sunday for your week in review. Send in more emails or voicemails because, by the way, write this number down. Let me get it because I haven't given it in a while. Make sure I do it right. Okay, here's my voicemail. The number to call is 518-952-0247. 518-952-0247. So go ahead and call that. It is a Google Voice number. You're not going to get my number. Okay, I'm not going to answer and have an awkward conversation with you, I promise. Just call it. You can talk up to 3 minutes, and then it'll automatically cut you off. So I think that's a fair amount of time to rant or whatever you need to do. Okay. So feel free to send in voicemails or email us, mailbag@wwepodcast.com. And I'll try to get that on the week in review show we do on Sunday. So check that out. And don't forget, go to Patreon if you want to watch the video I'm putting out about the tons of releases WWE has just announced on this Black Friday, the 24th day of April, for, of course, Bo Dallas and many others. So I'll be putting out a video on Patreon for that. And go to patreon.com/WWE podcast. So thank you, everybody. I know today's show kind of went off the rails on things I didn't even think I'd talk about, but I did. Because, hey, it's my show. That's the rules of engagement. All right, that'll do it for me here on this Friday. I'm going to toss the baton here, or pass it, because if you're running a race, you don't toss the baton. That'd be stupid. All right, DJ, I'm going to hand you the baton, and you can take it from here with your second to last Joe Hendry report. Now that he's been called up to the main roster, I'm going to hand it to you, my friend, and everybody else. I will talk to you in just a couple days. Take care.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take you to my 89th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Once again, this will be a different type of Joe Hendry Report as I will not be covering TNA since the focus for the past couple of weeks has been on Joe Hendry, with the reports circulating that he'll be moving up to the main roster. Now, I just want to preface this, and speaking of the reports, as the reports of with Joe Hendry leaving NXT and officially joining the main roster continue to surface, I will be concluding the Joe Hendry report next week on the mailbag or as a standalone episode. So I'm going to talk to Matt about that. However, it's not the end of the road for me. I will mention what's next for me and where you can find me online next week on my final Joe Hendry report. Now, I just want to talk about a couple of appearances that Joe Hendry made last week leading into WrestleMania and then, of course, last night on NXT. Last week, Friday, SmackDown, that's right, April 17th, aka WrestleMania SmackDown, the SmackDown before WrestleMania, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, Joe Hendry made an appearance in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Well, apparently, someone said his name and he appeared. If you saw his appearance, you would have probably noticed a slight scar on Joe Hendry's forehead, which he got from the merciless beatdown last week on NXT's Revenge Week 1 by the hands of Kunavu Carver. But during the course of the Battle Royal, Joe Hendry delivered a fall-away slam to Matt Cardona in an attempt to eliminate him. Joe then delivers a fall-away slam to Johnny Wrestling as Joe is fired up as he gets back up with his kip up, the usual Joe Hendry spin, and a smile to the camera. But out of nowhere, Aleister Black grabs Joe Hendry and throws him over the ropes. Joe Hendry is eliminated, womp womp, and that's it for Joe Hendry. The Battle Royal was eventually won by Royce Keys, so congratulations to him. I'm expecting big things for him to kick off his first official year in WWE. But now back to Joe Hendry. Later that night, at the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, Joe Hendry made an appearance on the red carpet in a very nice tuxedo suit, and by his side is his new love interest named Gia Miller. As they made their romantic relationship public, Gia Miller is currently a backstage reporter for TNA. She looks absolutely stunning. Way to go, Joe. You definitely got a good woman. Congrats to y'all both. And I have to say, this was a big surprise because I kind of knew that Joe Hendry and Gia Miller were kind of connected, kind of in a relationship. There were times when Gia Miller was interviewing Joe Hendry. She just had this kind of startled look on her face as she was, I guess, starstruck by him. And I kind of knew, but I didn't know for sure if they were in a relationship. But this is official as of the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony at the red carpet. Joe Hendry is in a relationship with Gia Miller. Now we turn the page to this past Monday Night Raw, aka the Raw After Mania, where there's a lot of surprises that's going to be happening live once again from Las Vegas, Nevada, in which there was an announcement that Joe Hendry will be having a concert next week on Raw, live from Laredo, Texas, as this seems to be Joe Hendry's official full-time main roster debut. So Laredo, Texas, get ready next week to believe. Now we fast forward to last night on NXT, as this was week 2, the week 2 finale of NXT Revenge, following the events from last week in which Kunavu Carter interrupted Joe Hendry's concert, mercilessly beats down Joe. We now have a match which was put together, as this match was Joe Hendry versus Kunavu Carter. This match lasted only 9 minutes and 11 seconds, literally 9-1-1, with Carver getting the victory by the referee's decision due to Carver repeatedly mauling Joe with a series of forearms to Joe Hendry's face. And it looks like this was Joe Hendry's final appearance in NXT, as he is getting ready to be called up officially to the main roster. And like always, folks, if you remember to say his name, he might just randomly appear. And like I said one more time, next week will be my final episode of the Joe Hendry Report on the mailbag. Whether it's part of the mailbag or a standalone episode, please stay tuned. And I thank you guys for your support for the past 2.5 years as I was covering the Joe Hendry Report. Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry. so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.